Hi everyone, my name's Kai, and I moved from the US to Germany more than 5 years ago. This channel is all about my experience of moving here and my life in Germany. One of the great things about living in Germany is that there are many great events to enjoy here all through the year. Last weekend, I traveled to one of these events in Leipzig, the Leipzig Book Fair, or Buchmesse. I also spent some time visiting Leipzig sites, and I wanted to share some of the highlights with you today. So let's take a look at Leipzig. Los geht's. Leipzig is a city of about 630,000 people in the German state of Saxony, or Sachsen. The city can easily be reached by high-speed train from Berlin in just over an hour. Leipzig dates back to at least the 11th century, and it's been known as a major trade city since the Leipzig Trade Fair started here in the late 12th century. Leipzig is also known for its lively art scene, focusing on music and literature. This city was once home to Johann Sebastian Bach, and it's still known today for its world-famous Gewandhaus Orchestra. Leipzig is also known as a Buchstadt, or City of Books. Every year they host the second largest book fair in Germany, the Leipzig Buchmesse. So if you've been following my videos, you might already know that I attended the Frankfurt Book Fair earlier in the fall. While the Frankfurt Book Fair is focused on the publishing industry, the Leipzig Book Fair is much more focused on authors and readers. But another big difference between the Frankfurt and Leipzig book fairs is that this event also includes a Manga Comic Con. And this actually turned out to be my favorite part. While I spent some time in the other halls at the book fair, I spent the majority of my time in the large Manga Comic Con. It actually reminded me a lot of Dokomi, which is Germany's biggest anime, manga, and Japan expo that's held in Dusseldorf every year. I went to Dokomi a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed it. The Manga Comic Con in Leipzig is similar, but a bit smaller. Still, I thought it was great. This event has tons of booths spread across 1.5 large halls with a wide variety of manga, anime, and related accessories for sale. There's so much to see just in the Manga Comic Con that you can easily spend an entire day just looking around. Beyond that, there were 3.5 more halls of book-related exhibits at the book fair. And there were tons of book talks with authors, workshops, and signing events too. It's an enormous event that requires more than one day if you want to see it all. This year, they had a record attendance with about 313,000 attendees, the largest number they've ever had. If you're a big fan of reading, this event is definitely worth checking out. If you come to Leipzig for the book fair in the spring or at any other time of year, there are plenty of other sights to see, and most of them can be found in the downtown. The first highlight that I want to share is actually quite unique. This one isn't located in the downtown, but it only takes about 20 minutes to get to it by streetcar. It's actually listed as the #1 attraction in Leipzig according to TripAdvisor. And this is the Monument to the Battle of Nations, or the Völkerschlachtdenkmal. This enormous monument commemorates the defeat of Napoleon's French army at the 1813 Battle of Leipzig. I've personally never seen anything like this. Something about it feels almost a bit alien or otherworldly, like maybe something out of an H.P. Lovecraft story? I definitely think this is a must-see in Leipzig, so I highly recommend checking it out. The interior and exterior are just stunning. It also has some great views of the city. Another quick highlight in Leipzig is actually the first place you'll see if you arrive by train, the main train station, or Hauptbahnhof. This grand station is actually the largest train station in Europe. It's so big that it has an entire shopping mall in its basement. Okay, next let's look at some of Leipzig's churches. First, there's the St. Thomas Church, or Thomaskirche. This church has been rebuilt numerous times, but there has been a church at this location since at least the 12th century. This church is connected to Johann Sebastian Bach, who was its music director from 1723 until his death in 1750. Bach is also buried in this church. If you time it right, you might also see the boys' choir performing some of Bach's most famous works here. They are one of the oldest boys' choirs in Germany and are internationally known. Next, there's a St. Nicholas Church, or the Nikolaikirche. This church was also built in the 12th century and has also had many changes over the years. And Johann Sebastian Bach was also the music director at this church. But this church is mostly known as the site of the so-called Monday demonstrations in 1989. These were powerful demonstrations against communist rule in Eastern Germany, which led to the fall of the Berlin Wall and the reunification of Germany. Now, the last church I want to mention is the University Church St. Paul, or Universitätskirche St. Pauli. This is a modern church that was built in 2009 on the site of a 13th century church that was demolished in 1968 by the communist regime. This church is part of the University of Leipzig, and it serves as both a church and an assembly hall for the school. Incidentally, right next to this church is the so-called City Hochhaus, a 36-story office building that's the tallest building in Leipzig. This building also has a viewing platform on its roof that has some incredible views of the city. Okay, let's move on and look at some of the shopping areas in the downtown. Many of the streets downtown are car-free pedestrian streets lined with shops and restaurants. These streets connect to a large public plaza, or Marktplatz, where numerous events are held throughout the year, including the annual Christmas market, one of the oldest in Germany. When it comes to shopping, downtown Leipzig also has a historic shopping arcade. The arcade has been completely preserved and is covered by a glass roof. This is known as Mädler Arcade Gallery, or Mädler's Passage. It's lined with shops, restaurants, and offices, and it's really nice. Okay, last of all, let's take a look at some other historic buildings that you can find in Leipzig. Here's the Old Town Hall, or Altes Rathaus, which is located on the Marktplatz. This building was built in the 15th century and acted as the city hall until 1905, when it was moved to another building, the new City Hall, or Neues Rathaus, which is the largest city hall in the world, with over 1,700 rooms. Finally, I'm going to leave you with another large and beautiful historic building in Leipzig's downtown, the Federal Administrative Court, or Bundesverwaltungsgericht building. This building houses one of the 5 federal Supreme Courts in Germany. So as you can see, there's plenty to see and do in Leipzig. Whether you're up for a book fair or want to spend some time soaking in the city's sights, Leipzig is definitely worth a visit. Alright, thanks for joining me on this quick trip to Leipzig. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you get the chance to check out Leipzig for yourself one day. If you're a manga and anime fan, I think you might also really enjoy Leipzig's Manga Comic Con as well. Okay, that's all for now. I'll see you again soon. Tschüss, bis später!